Right, so as part of this video, what we're going to make today is the console, which is this part here. So what we're going to need to do this is the working drawings for the console, which is this PDF here. So this gives us all the sizes, so the elevation, the end elevation and the plan views for this object here, which is the console, and all the dimensions required to produce this in Inventor, and all these sizes are in millimeters. So the elevation is this view here, which is looking straight onto the console, which is this screen here. We've got the end elevation, which is looking onto the end of the console here, and then the plan view is looking downwards onto this surface here. Right, so what we're going to do first is go to Inventor. We should be in our projects for the Nintendo Switch, so we need to make sure we've got our little green tick on our Nintendo Switch project, so that any part we create and save is saved into this project folder. So now we can go to New, and then we're going to go to New. This will load up. Then you can go from EN-US. You're going to click on this little arrow that's going to drop down, so that you could then choose metric, and over here on the right we could choose standard mm.ipt, which means we're creating a part which is in millimeters and not inches. So this one here. Once you've chosen this one, we can go create. Right, so to start this from the working drawing, first thing we're going to do is take the widest points, so that's obviously from here to here, or from here to here, and we could see on the working drawings that the widest point is 170 millimeters wide. The highest points from here to here, or from here to here, are 100 millimeters. So that means we want to make a rectangle that's 170 millimeters wide by 100 millimeters high. So if we go to Inventor, we're going to be starting a 2D sketch. This will show us our three working planes, which are XY plane, YZ plane, and XZ plane. So we're going to be choosing this one up here, which is the XY plane. Then we're going to be using our rectangle tool to create a rectangular profile. So at the moment, it doesn't matter about the sizes, you just need to create a rectangle on the screen by clicking once, twice. Once you've created your rectangle, to get it to the right sizes that were shown on the working drawing, which were 170 wide by 100 high, we're going to use the dimension tool in Inventor. So if I click on dimension, that means that if I hover over this line till it goes red, then I can click, move above that line, and click somewhere here. So then I could change that size to 170. Oh, two things. 170. So 170 millimeters, and then the little green tick. If it disappears off the screen, you can use your mouse wheel. By clicking that twice, it'll zoom out and show you that on the screen. Next thing we're going to use is dimension tool again, hovering over this line here till it goes red, clicking, moving to the side, clicking in the white space, and we're going to make that 100 millimeters. Little green tick when we're happy. If it goes off the screen again, press your mouse wheel twice and that'll zoom out. So once we've created this rectangle, we can finish the sketch, which is this button here. Click. Once again, it's disappeared off the screen, and I've just got this big white area. To get it back onto the screen, I'm going to press the mouse wheel twice, and that's going to zoom out so it fills the screen. There we go, that's better. Next thing we want to do, if we go to the working drawings, you could see that it has a length and a height, but it also has a depth. So this is the depth here. So from the working drawings, we could see that the depth is 15 millimeters. So at the moment on Inventor, we have a flat 2D profile, and we now want to make that into a 3D component by giving it depth. So we're going to use the extrude tool, which is up here. So we'll click on that, and then here where it says distance A, we want to change that to the size from the working drawing, which was 15 millimeters. So that's going to make this depth that it extrudes that 2D profile 15 millimeters, and then we can hit OK once we're happy that we've set the distance to 15. So if I go to the orbit tool here on the right, that means that I could then spin this around to see it as a 3D object. So it's no longer a 2D profile, it's a 3D object. Press escape to get rid of the orbit tool. There we go. So back to the working drawing. Next thing we want to do is create these little sticky out pieces that you can see here. So there's 1 and 2 of these on each side, so each side of the console. So the first thing we want to do is go to Inventor, and we want to start a 2D sketch on the side, so this side here. So if we think back to the working drawing, this is the elevation, the end elevation, the plan. So we're drawn here on the side, which is the end elevation. So working drawing here. So I've pressed the mouse wheel twice to zoom in. I'm going to use the rectangle tool to draw a rectangle inside here. It doesn't matter about the sizes at the moment. As long as you draw a rectangle, that's fine. Now to get it to the right size, if we go to the working drawing, we can see that this bit that sticks out is 40 millimeters long. And if you look up to the plan view, it's 5 millimeters wide here. So 40 millimeters long, 5 wide, right? So back to Inventor, Dimension tool, hover over the side line here till it goes red. When you're happy it's red, click, move to the side and click again. That means I can now amend it to 40 and hit the little green tick. I could then do the same again, Dimension tool, hover over this top line till it goes red, click, move up, and then click again. So that means that I can now amend that to 5 millimeters. Green tick. So now I've set it to the right height, which is 40, and width of 5, but it's not positioned correctly on the side of the console. So if you look at the working drawings, you could see that from the top edge down to here, there's a gap of 30 millimeters. And then from the front edge inwards to the side of this bit that's going to stick out, there's a gap of 5 millimeters. So if we go back to Inventor, using the Dimension tool again, I could choose that top line, just like I did before. When it goes red, click. Move up though to the top until that goes red and click again. So that means now I could move out to the left and just click anywhere here in this white space. So what that's doing is telling Inventor what I want the size to be from here to here. So at the moment it's 26.4. We want that to be 30, which is what it was on the working drawing. Green tick, and it's going to move this down so that that gap there's exactly 30. Then we're going to do the same again. So Dimension tool, we're going to click on this outside edge. We're going to then click on this edge when it goes red, and then if I just drag down here and click somewhere in this gap around here, I can then tell Inventor that I'm wanting to change this to 5 millimeters, and I'm going to hit the little green tick when I'm happy with that. So that's now got that in the correct position. So it's got it 30 millimeters down from the top surface, 5 in from the front, which is from what it was on the working drawing. So 30 down, 5 millimeters in, and it's the correct sizes. It's 40 in height, 5 in width. Once I've done that, I'm going to finish the sketch. So you can see that I've drew that rectangle on the side of the console. So if you look at the working drawing, it sticks out. And it sticks out, if you look at this top plan view, by 5 millimeters. So it's sticking out 5 millimeters. That's how much that is size wise. So to do that, back to Inventor, I'm going to choose the extrude tool, and you can see that at the moment it's extruding it outwards, but I want to amend this distance A to 5 millimeters, which will change it so it's only coming out to the 5 millimeters required, and then I can hit this OK button when I'm happy with that. And that's us got one of these bits that are sticking out on the side. Now if I use the orbit tool, spin this thing to the side, you can see that on the opposite side of the console, so here, we're needing another one of these. So we've got one on this side, but we don't have one on this side. So to do that, we're going to do Start 2D Sketch, and we're going to choose that surface when it goes red. So you have to make sure it's this one, not this one, not this one, but this one down the side. Click. That's going to put it straight on, so we're facing straight on. And then if I press the mouse wheel twice, it's going to zoom in, put it in the center of the screen. So just as before, rectangle tool to create a rectangular profile inside here. Doesn't matter about the size at the moment. Then we use the dimension tool to amend the height. So when this line goes red, I can then click, move to the side, click again. And then from the working drawings, it was 40 millimeters. Green tick when we're happy. And then width-wise, so if I hover over till it's red, click, move up, click again, I can amend that to 5 millimeters. Green tick when I'm happy. So that's once again the correct height and width of 40 and 5 millimeters, but it's not spaced correctly on the side face of the console. So to space it correctly, we're going to use the dimension tool. We're going to click on this line here when it goes red, and then move across to this outside edge when it goes red and click. Move down, and then just click around somewhere here so that we can amend that distance to 5. And that's going to move that back so that the space between there and there is exactly 5 millimeters. I'm going to then do the same up here. So I'm going to click on dimension. I'm going to hover over this line till it goes red. Click. I'm going to move up till I'm at this top edge until it goes red, and then click. And then I'm just going to move out to this left hand side here. Click again. So now I need to amend this size here to 30 millimeters. And then when I'm happy with that, green tick. So that's spaced it from the top edge downwards 30. We've also spaced it from this front edge inwards 5. And we've got the height correct of 40 and the width of 5 correct. So when I'm happy that all the sizes are correct, I'm going to hit Finish Sketch. And just like before, that means we've drew this rectangular profile on the side face. As before again, we're going to need to make that stick out by 5 millimeters. And to do that, we're going to use the extrude tool. Once again, you can see that it's extruded it outwards. Distance A must be 5, so I'm going to just type that in again. 5 millimeters. So once you've typed in the 5 in distance A, you can click OK. If I go over here to the orbit tool, I could then show you that on both sides, so there's one of the sides, so the right hand side and the left hand side both have these little bits sticking out, which are what were on the working drawing. These two bits here. 1, 2. You can see it here on the 3D drawing. Next thing we need to do is, if you look at the work and drawn, there is this rectangular shape here, and if you look up here you can see that is the same as that, and that's cut into the face of the console, so it's cut inwards. So to do that, back to Inventor, we'll want to start a 2D sketch, but this time we're choosing this front face of the console, so click, that'll put it straight on, so we're looking straight on to that part of the console. I'm going to press the mouse wheel twice, so click twice, and that'll zoom in. Next thing I want to do is use the rectangle tool to just create a rectangle inside the one that's on the outside edge, so just inside the screen. There we go. So as long as it's inside these edges. Doesn't matter about the sizes at the moment because we're going to use the dimension tool. So if I go to the work and drawn, you can see that the screen is 150 wide, which is, I'm taking that from here, so 150 wide, and height wise from there to there it's 80. So back to Inventor, click on Dimension, I'm going to hover over this line till it goes red, click, move downwards, click again. I'm then going to amend this to 150 millimeters, 150 millimeters, and then click the green tick when I'm happy. I'm then going to do the same again, Dimension. Move over to this line here till it goes red, click, move inwards, and then just click somewhere in here again, here. And then I'm going to amend this one to 80 millimeters, green tick when I'm happy. So that's now made that rectangle the correct length of 150 and height of 80. However, it's not spaced correctly from the top edge or the side edges. Alright, so if I look at the work and drawn, you can see that it's spaced from the top edge downwards 10 millimeters, and from the outside edge inwards 10 millimeters. So if I go back to Inventor, using the Dimension tool again, if I choose this top edge when it goes red, so once it changes red, click, move down, and then once this line goes red, click, and I could then move out to the left hand side and click around here. Now I'm going to amend that to 10 millimeters, and then when I'm happy, click on the green tick. So that's moved that rectangle down from the top edge by 10 millimeters. I'm now going to do the same this side here. So I'm going to use Dimension, click on the outside line when it goes red, move in and click on this line when it goes red, and then I'm just going to move down here into the bottom corner, click, and that allows me then to type in the dimension, which is 10 millimeters, and then I can hit this green tick when I'm happy. So that's now spaced the rectangular profile 10 millimeters from this outside edge to here. Once I'm happy, I'm going to hit the finish sketch button up here, and that's me created this rectangular profile on this front face. Next thing we need to do is, as you can see on the work and drawn, it's cut into the surface, so material has been subtracted inwards on the screen or on the console. So to do that, I'm going to go to Inventor, I'm going to use the extrude tool like I used for these pieces here that stick out. So I'm going to click on extrude. You can see that this front face is sticking outwards like it did with these, but this time, so if we do that again actually, I want it to cut inwards. So I've clicked extrude. To change the direction, here on direction, instead of having this first option selected which says default, I'm going to move into the next one that says flipped, and that's now going to cut inwards or subtract material. If I look at the work and drawings, so this here is 5 millimeters cutting, right? 5 millimeters. So back to Inventor, make sure the distance A is already set at 5, but I'm just going to do it again, 5, and then OK when I'm happy that distance A is 5. OK. And you can see that that's cut out a slot on this front face. I could use the orbit tool to move it around and have a look at it. Now the last thing I'm going to do to this piece before I save it is I'm going to go up here to where it says default. So this is for materials. So at the moment it's got this grey look to it. So if I click on the default drop down menu up here, so this is where we can add a material to the console. So there's a lot of different options in here, but I'm going to scroll down. This is in alphabetical order, so I'm going to scroll down to S, so where it says smooth black. And then I'm going to go File, Save As, and then we're going to save this as console. So we're saving this piece as console. Save. Yes.